What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Dama and Pop DC Sports Talk Plus podcast. Not much to say. That was pretty terrible. I say we just get right into it. We're going to do our awards. We're going to check in on our bottom bets, and we're going to complain a lot about the coaching staff. Let's do it. You scratch your huevos. You ready?
Yes.
All right. What's
Off
going
camera.
on, everybody? What's going on, everybody, man? Yeah, that was a tough one. I'm not even going to get on here and yell today, I don't think. It's kind of just like it's the same old crap. Pop, how you feeling?
Same. It didn't feel real optimistic before the game. Always pregame, you start to get a little bit of hope and feel like that maybe we can be competitive and keep it a game. And I think it went just about according to script. I mean, it could have been a lot worse, probably.
Yep. So we get out of just quickly chronologically, we get out of the first quarter at 0-0. We're playing some pretty good defense.
Wow. Is that really true?
Yeah,
It
they
was
hung all
0-0?
20. Maybe check me on that, but I'm pretty sure I heard a commentator say that they scored all 24 in the second quarter. Um, can Google that real quick. But yeah, so we come out, at least the first few sequences, we're playing great defense, and the offense is completely ineffective. Wentz is getting smacked. Wentz is taking 7-step drops. Basically, everything we talked about we needed to avoid from an offensive game planning perspective, we just went right into it. So that happened, and then second quarter, obviously, they explode on us. They score 24 points, and then the game was pretty much over at that point.
Yeah.
We're completely ineffective coming out of the half. They made some adjustments, but it was basically more a result of the Eagles are really, really good. And the Eagles know that they're really, really good. And they kind of don't care if you're going to do 80 yards. They're going to make the stop when it counts. And they let us get down the field, burn the clock, made the stops where it counted. First points on the
Anything we did on offense was during garbage times.
It
Not
was
even worth talking
complete
about.
Kirk
Stats
Cousins
padding.
stats. It was Kirk
Yeah.
Cousins stats. It was that's what it was. It was complete garbage.
You're
So
right about all 24 in the second quarter. I did not realize that. That's pretty insane.
yeah, so the story of this football team has basically been lulls so far in the first three games. And I mean today we just sucked. There was no good today. It was just all
The
bad.
offense took the game off today.
But that's when you look at the points, you say, okay, lulls have been the problem. And sure enough, the second quarter, we just completely were unable to get anything going. And it was just a matter of time before the defense was going to get gassed. So
Yeah,
I've been
I think.
talking. I'll let you go, Pop. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, there's no sense. It was a great point about all the points coming in the second quarter. I mean, we got all 8 of ours in the fourth quarter. Um, I was making a point earlier. I really was pleased overall, and it's hard to say when you go up 24 points in a quarter with what I saw from the defense, right? I mean,
Yep.
they did shut them out in the first quarter. They came out ready. 2 of their scores, one was on a Devontae Smith long ball that should have been called back, and it really frustrates me with replay that, even challenge flag or not, and Ron took responsibility for not getting the flag out. But, obviously the Eagles rushed down there to snap the ball. So somebody in their booth was saying, that's not a catch. Go get the ball snapped. And unfortunately, we didn't have the same reaction time. And if you want to blame coaching, but come on, refs, get the call right. Just get it right. And why can't the booth call down and say, let us take a look at that? Like, that's why replay
But
exists. So, but anyway,
you
that
know
had
what?
nothing to do with
Yeah.
losing the game, or let me finish. Nothing to do with losing the game or not. My bigger point is that, that play and then a sack fumble, putting our defense back out on the field, and they score again. You know, 14 points of that 24 were kind of gifts to the Eagles. And I really don't have a problem with how the defense played. In fact, a pleasant surprise of the game is how ready the defense came out. They game planned well, especially early. They put a lot of pressure on Hurts. Hurts didn't do much of anything with his feet the entire game.
Well, he
So
didn't need to because he passed for 300 yards and threw for 3 touchdowns.
it's true, but you can't keep, to me, it's very short sighted when people critique the defense
I'm with you.
when the
I
offense is that bad.
I
Because
agree with your point as a whole.
you try going out there and stopping a team that's as dangerous as the Eagles over and over and over again. And your offense doesn't give you a rest. Your offense doesn't do anything. Either goes 3 and out or 2 series and out. We said before the game, we said what they can't do is 7-step drops and try to throw the ball long. Exactly what they get against Detroit. And like you said, it's a coaching arrogance to think that, they went into that game going, you think you got weapons? Look at ours. And it was horrific. The
Yep.
offensive game plan, I'm just going to say for the whole game, because like I said, whatever happened in the second half, I mean, I saw JP really quickly after the game. The Eagles stopped playing. They just played soft. There wasn't near and they still picked up 3 or 4 sacks in the second half.
Yep.
So it's just terrible coaching.
Yeah.
Terrible coaching.
That's basically what
It's
it comes
terrible
down
coaching.
to. That's basically what it comes down to. And even like you say, okay, the game planning was better in the first quarter of the defense. But we went right back to the same old BS in the secondary. We dropped right back into zone coverage, and that's when we start getting sliced up. We were doing well in man. Fuller is a man corner. St. Juice looked great on the outside as a man corner. Why did we go man to man? Because we couldn't afford to go in zone because William Jackson went down and he was hurt. And we have these guys that are basically coming off the street playing as our third and fourth corners. So we have to go man to man and try to contain the two weapons. And somehow, all the talent that we have at cornerback, which I'm not saying we have a lot of talent, I still think we probably have a bottom 8 cornerback group in the NFL, but they're all better utilized in man. And somehow it's taken, what is this? We played 17 games last year with this same group. This is week 3. It's taken 20 games to figure that out. That's ridiculous. So that's horrible, but I'm with you. I think the problem is not at this point in time the defense, and it was not the defense today. I mean, yeah, 24 unanswered points in the second quarter is not great, but if you actually watch the game, you don't just look at the box score. You see, we put them in position to succeed because of how bad our offense was. I mean, if our offense
Well,
even gets three in the first quarter, we just put a drive together long enough to get the defense off the field to get a field goal. You're looking at a completely different game. And it was the same problem we had against Detroit in the first half. There is no complementary football on this team. The only way this team
well, so I
wins is if one phase of the ball just goes so crazy that the other phase of the ball can't mess it up. And that's a recipe for another 7-win season.
yeah, and son, I think like us ran and Raven for 20 minutes. We
It's
can
a
do it
waste of
if we
energy.
want. It's just a waste of energy. I don't want to keep recycling, the same frustrations. We've been pretty clear on where we feel. But for me, when I look at it, I go by the eye test. It's way too simple to go into a game and look at stats. People, at the end of it all, we threw for over 200 yards and Carson had a bunch of completions, and he's probably going to end this third game still being near the top of the league in quarterback stats. Doesn't matter. He played horrible today.
Yep,
He
and
played horrible
that's
today. He played horrible in the first half of last week, and he is who we thought he was. He's decent. His lack of mobility in the pocket,
is horrible.
and
His
even
pocket
when he
awareness
does
is
make plays
terrible.
with his feet, it's just gritty plays that he makes. Um, you know, and I still think, you know, we can win with Carson, but the game plan has to be better. Like, I mean, the offensive line's not protecting. They showed that against Detroit. That just to go into that game when they ran the ball, other than the one like horrible play that Gibson had where he lost 12 or 13 yards near the goal line, his stats were great. He was eating them up,
He
and
was the
they just stopped
best.
running them. They don't run them. Like they just run him once. It's second and third, and we're going to go for a deep ball again when it hasn't been working the whole game. So just the coaching was terrible. But again, just getting back to like I go by the eye test. This team was fired up to start the game, right? They got stops early. They shut him out in the first quarter. I mean, surprised me to, based on my
I couldn't
memory, that
believe
that's
it.
the case. Okay. I mean, they were fired up. They were playing hard. That defense was motivated. The corners, you said what you said about the cornerback group. I'm not sure, but Fuller and St. Juice were making great plays. Even the safeties were stepping up, making plays. Holcomb looked good. Jamin Davis got 2 sacks today.
Yeah.
Like, this you gotta, and Ron, to his credit, in the presser said we got to play complementary football, and we didn't do that today. And it was actually good to hear. It was good to hear, and he said too, we need to put the team in better position to win.
Yep.
And I think he was kind of really my read between the lines. He was talking about the offensive play call,
Yep.
right? Because it just maybe that quick game isn't Carson's comfort level. I don't know. They seem to be able to run it pretty effectively in the second half. We don't see any of JD McKissick, right? Like where is he? And he's perfect for that, right? That quick game,
Where's
getting the
he
ball
been
out of your
all
hands.
season, frankly? We haven't been
Right.
looking his way at all, and he was the most dynamic playmaker on the offense last year.
Right. So I mean it's frustrating, but it is what it is. It's like it's probably not worth the energy. I checked out pretty early in the game
Yeah.
emotionally. I just said, hey, this is what it is. I think we were thoroughly outcoached. And at some point, the coaching is a problem and it needs to be addressed because you've got to, if you and I, this is a hobby for us, right? We're
Yeah.
having some fun doing a podcast.
I
Hopefully
mean,
people
what
enjoy
was
it.
the highest
And
level of football you played? Freshman football in high school?
not even,
You
yeah, I
didn't even
played
play,
middle
right?
school
I
football.
was not allowed to
Right?
play football because I'm built like a flea. And it seems like we both know football better than whatever is going
Yeah,
on
I mean,
coaching
we
wise over
we
there.
if you go
Like,
back and listen to our last pod, I even put it short up. Our keys to the game, they didn't do any of it, and it just seems so obvious. And it's just like you're just wanting to call the game that you want to call, and it's so obvious that they got to get the ball. Either I didn't think they were going to be able to establish a run game. I was wrong. I actually think that they'd gone in with a mentality of running the ball because the Eagles aren't that great against the run. That would have been a much better game plan. But either run it or that first play call, that inside sweep, or do some creative things to get the ball out of his hands quick. But every time he dropped back, and even the announcer, Schlerf, was saying it.
yep.
Why do they keep dropping him back? Why are there all these deep
And
drops?
the Fox announcers, no less, the ones on
Right.
Fox. Do I need to say anymore? The worst ones. I mean, no disrespect, but it's just so frustrating as a whole.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could sit here and talk about it all day. I will say, in terms of the coaching and in terms of the way this program has been built, I challenge my fellow Commander fans to go look at what has transpired down in Miami over the last 3 years. This is a team that was picking number 3 when we picked number 2. They had a 7-win season the year after, just like we did. And look at the difference in the moves that organization has made and in the results. We have all season to talk about it. I don't think things are going to get much better, so we can agonize over it for much longer. I don't want to get into it today, but just a little nugget and something to look for as the season goes on.
Well,
Um,
I still hold out hope that they figure it out. I think if I was going to draw a silver lining today, it's that I really like what I saw from the defense. And even the second half when we had a chance, I mean, we're still only 24 down. If we could come out and start out quick on offense, the defense just got stop after stop after
you
stop
can't.
against Philly's offense.
You just
I mean, so to me, the silver lining is I think the defense did some things. They made some adjustments. They figured some things out. You tell me before the game that Hurts wasn't going to do anything with his feet. They did all the things we talked about that they needed to do, in my opinion, for the most part. It's just that, now if the silver lining is okay, have you seen enough offensively to say what we're trying to do doesn't work? Let's make the necessary adjustments to play it to a different game plan, because I think this offense has enough talent and Carson Wentz is good enough that they should be playing better, but the game plan and the play calling needs to be better. That's to me the number one problem. And that's also preparing during the week.
Yep.
I mean, if you're preparing during the week to play this way, to go 7 8 depth shots, and we're going to kill them with deep shots. You know what you do? You do exactly what we talked about. You stay on the field, you move the chains, you get them on their heels a little bit so they can't pin their ear backs and just rush at you.
I mean,
Then you can go deep,
where
right? Because
is
you've created the opportunity to be able to do that.
where is the intern or the assistant coach or somebody tapping Scott Turner on the shoulder about halfway through the second quarter and go, "Hey, Antonio, our defense is gassed, and Antonio Gibson is averaging 6 yards a carry. Maybe we try and control possession a little bit, but there's no, like you said, there's no ability to adapt. There's no, I don't know if it's ability or willingness, and frankly, I don't know which one is worse. So it doesn't really matter. There's no adaptation at all, and that's really the
But
problem
I think
here.
I think like I said, just try to. We've been down that road already.
I'm down to wrap it up. Let's wrap it up.
We're
Let's
been
get
down
into
the
our
road. We've
awards.
been down that road already. My thing is that it feels like too little, too late, and they should have been ready. It feels like they almost made that adjustment at halftime when they're down 24-0, and you can't start running the ball. So
Yeah,
I think there may have been a realization today that look, we can't. This isn't the right way to play football for our team.
yeah,
And if I hold out any hope, it's the fact that we saw that improvement on defense. We know they got talent and they got weapons on offense. And maybe, they make those adjustments and they show that desperation. And next week's another opportunity. We're 2-2 coming out of these first 4 games, and we get a win at Dallas. We got a chance to turn it around again. And I don't think Dallas is Philly. So, we've got a chance, and I'm not going to like throw in the towel on the season just yet. But
yeah.
anyway, I think, a couple more things from the presser, you know, I'm not repeating. He did say Carson could play better. He complimented St. Juice playing on the outside. So again, maybe a light bulb goes on that's where you need to put St. Juice. He did mention that they're playing a lot of young guys. I don't know whether that was trying to get excuses. He did take responsibility, which again, accountability of the coaches on not getting that challenge flag out quick enough. Somebody asked him if he considered benching Carson Wentz. He said no. And he did say, "Are we giving them the opportunity to succeed as
It's a
coaches?"
ridiculous question.
As play calling. Yeah. But then the real interesting one, kind of a curveball. I don't know if you heard this, son. I guess there was a report before the game that
Yeah.
the Washington was considering Jimmy G before they knew that he was injured, and they signed Wentz, which actually seems like a bit of a weird report when I first heard it, because I'm like, everybody knew he was injured at the end of the season.
Well,
So,
they
like,
didn't
what do you
know.
mean?
There's a
What do you
little.
mean?
There was not. It's a BS story. It's just a crap clickbait thing, and to release the story right before the game.
That's what Ron said. That's
I
what
think it
Ron
was
said.
Schefter who
Yeah.
reported it, right? So my fucking rule at Adam Schefter for that. That's ridiculous. I'm sorry. That's such dumb, stupid clickbait journalism. It's a waste.
It is, and
Um,
it's like just before they,
It's
Wentz's first game
classless.
against the
It's
Eagles.
classless. You're
Yeah.
punching down. You're punching down on the guy that has been the punching bag of the NFL for the last 18 months just to get some retweets. You should have more
Okay.
integrity
In
than that.
show alert. In show alert. We didn't have this planned. Okay. Cots of the week. Adam Schefter for that report. I'm
Sure.
calling it.
Sure. You could call it. I don't, at the end of the day, There's way more Kakatsable offenses committed by this football team today.
Well, let's get into our awards. Let's get
So
into our
yeah, we
awards.
can get
Let's do
into
it.
that. So let's start with the Sauce Award. Duran Payne, best
Yep.
best.
A hell of a play. Hell
He
of a play
is
for that
the
safety.
best defensive lineman on this team by a country mile, and I think we need to pay him whatever he wants, and I'm willing to let whoever walk that needs to because of that. I'm coming out and saying that now.
I'm starting to agree with you.
We'll
I'm
talk.
starting to agree with you.
Yeah,
And did you
he's
see
so
where
good.
they actually put his jersey and cleats from the first game into Hall of Fame?
No, that's pretty dope.
Yeah, they sent it to the Hall of Fame to do a display as the first ever Commanders game.
Yeah,
And I saw that and I'm like, yeah, that's the team sending him a sign saying we want you here.
and
We
just
want you here.
briefly, I'm going to do 10 seconds on this, and then we'll move on to our helmet stickers. I think defensive ends are kind of a dime a dozen nowadays. There's a lot more coming out of college that are making impact pretty quickly. I think it's a lot harder to find interior linemen that are performing at the level that Payne has. And if you got to make a choice between Payne and Sweat, I'm putting my flag on the ground for Payne right now. We'll talk about that. We got 2 off seasons to talk about that. Let's get in our helmet stickers. Curtis Samuel, first one, pretty much the only effective player on the offense consistently through 3
In the
weeks.
first half, for sure, yeah.
He's the only guy that's performed consistently over the course of the last 3 weeks.
Agree.
Big fan of the way he's been playing. Gibson as well. Um, Again, big fan of the way he's been playing, especially overcoming all the adversity with the Brian Robinson running back controversy that kind of spun the whole off season. At one point, we're talking about Gibson's going to be playing 30% of snaps and doing kick returns, and he got thrust in because of a tragic situation, and he's bald. So, props to Gibson, just a true pro class guy. And Pop, do you want to do the third helmet sticker?
Yeah, I think we said Cole Holcomb. He led the
Yep.
team in tackles, and I actually noticed him quite a bit today. And I thought he played hard. He had some good plays and coverage as well. And yeah, I mean, I think Antonio Gibson. I couldn't agree with you more. Real quick there. I mean, his attitude's been unbelievable. Like how many guys who are supposed to be the star running back and star of the team would take a benching as well as he has, and then he just ran hard. He ran through guys. And I said, other than that one play where it wasn't really his fault, he could have probably done a bit better than running backwards. But otherwise, he really did play well. And how the coaches didn't see that and give him the ball more, I'm not sure. But yeah, yeah,
And you know what?
that's about
He's
it.
even on that play. It's a bad play in isolation. But if you take in the context of the whole game, he's trying to make something out of nothing. At that point, we're in complete desperation mode. He
Agreed.
had nothing on that play. I'm not even that mad at that, to be honest with you,
I
because
agree. I agree.
when you take it into consideration, the whole body of the work. Kickots of the game, it's going to be hard to just pick one. I think we can maybe discuss a few options and settle on it. But the Devonta Smith catch that wasn't a catch that swung the momentum in a game where there was kind of no momentum going one way or the other. So that was tough. So that's an easy kick-outs to the refs for that one. The sack fumble right after that, you can say you got to protect Wentz better. You just can't have that. You just can't have it. I don't care who or why. You just can't have that there. Give the team the ball back at the 30-yard line. I mean, that's horrible. And overall, the preparation from the coaches, right? Terrible. So, Pop, do you have a pick
I think,
of those three?
yeah, I think the game doesn't come down to any one play. If it had been a close game, Devontae Smith was a kick-outs moment for sure. I don't
Yeah.
know how the refs just don't get that call right. Um, but I'm going with the offensive game plan and play call, and overall,
Yep.
it was just horrific.
Yeah, I agree. And we were talking a little bit off mic over the course of the week about kind of the Rivera thing, and we're saying, hey, Scott's offense has looked pretty good for the most part. Like, who knows what we might have in him? But incredible
No,
disappointment what I saw today from him, and I'm out on that. Um,
Yeah, I mean,
But
the team came out, and I believe, like, even offensively, right? I don't, people are going to say, well, Wentz didn't play well, but I honestly don't think he was put in a position to succeed given his strengths and weaknesses.
yeah,
He just wasn't. And, you try to run play action when you're not running the ball.
yep.
What the hell?
I
Like, it doesn't, they did the same thing last week and it didn't
yeah,
work. So to me, like, the Eagles are a better team than we are right now. They just are. No one's going to deny
that's
that.
the sky is
But
blue.
they're not this much better. They're not this much better. I'm going to stick by that.
Okay.
We
Well,
got
we can revisit that.
thoroughly outcoached. We got thoroughly outcoached. It could have been a much more competitive game, especially with how the defense came out. Um,
Yeah,
so I think that it's clear to me that just that offensive game plan, that offensive coaching is the kickouts of the game. So
definitely.
anyway, I think it's enough about this one. Unless you've got some closing points, I don't have anything left to say.
No, I mean we're
You know,
absolutely outcoached, and it's just is what it is. The bottom line is we got to know that the defense can't win us games. We don't have that good of a defense. We have a defense that can not lose us games, but this defense can't win us games, and especially not against Jalen Hurts, Devonta Smith, AJ Brown, Quez Watkins, and Miles Sanders. There's no way. There's not a lot of defenses in the NFL that can win you that game, and ours certainly isn't
yeah.
one of them. So if we come out next week and we get skunked in the first half again, it's week 4, baby. I can start talking coaching changes, and I might spend 30 minutes on it. So
All right, let's not go
let's
there.
let's get
We're
past
25 minutes in.
let's get past it. Yeah, I don't want to talk about it anymore. Let's get past it. But let's go around the NFL real quick. Big headline, probably the biggest headline from the first games today was the Buffalo Bills take their first loss down in Miami to what is quickly looking like one of the better programs in football, the Miami Dolphins. Really exciting to see what they're doing down there. And Tua is having his breakout season. And I mean, how can you not when you have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle to throw the ball to? But yeah, it was cool to see Miami win as much as I do like Buffalo. And
Well, we got to sound the air horns, right? You got your first bets win.
first one on the scoreboard.
Pop's
First
0 and
one on the
2. Dominic's
scoreboard.
1 and 1.
There we go.
So
Yeah, so that aforementioned system that I mentioned about perhaps aforementioned that I mentioned, that's very redundant. That system that I mentioned for if Tomlin gets points, we're gonna bet on Tomlin, out the window. Mitch Trubisky
didn't
sucks.
work too well.
Mitch Trubisky sucks. That's gotta go.
Yeah, Steelers are on my Patriots list. I'm not going with that many ever again.
Yeah, I bet against them and they burnt me. I bet for them and they burnt me again. So
It's a
I'm
really
fine with the
bad
pass.
offensive football team.
Yeah, that's a rough team.
And I think without without Watt, they just don't have enough on defense. Like the same thing you said about the Commanders to
well,
win the game for the team.
Minka Fitzpatrick is no joke either. But yeah, they've definitely got like you said.
So we both, to be clear here, we both picked the Browns. No, we both picked the Steelers, getting 4.5,
and they didn't even
over the
cover it.
Browns.
They didn't even come close.
That
They didn't
was a
twice
loss.
that.
So Dom's 1 and 1, and the afternoon game. Not Packers are off to a 14-3 lead over the Bucks, and we both picked the Bucks, giving 1.5. So a lot of football still to play. We
yeah,
got Tampa Tommy taking days off like it's his job these days. Like he gets every Wednesday off. I don't know what's going on there. Really strange situation.
off mic conversations.
Yeah, he just needs to go ahead and retire if it's going to be like that. But
Yeah.
see, maybe the Bucks will come back there. And then, in the early games, Ravens win again. My boy Lamar, my fantasy quarterback, just lit it up. I think 5 total touchdowns.
I told
again
you
today.
he's gonna have a big bounce back year. And unfortunately, I didn't put my fantasy capital behind it, and I didn't draft him, and I'm regretting it.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's amazing. He's so good.
Yeah.
Um,
Bears take down the Texans. Titans beat the Raiders. Colts surprisingly beat the Chiefs.
Wow.
Didn't see that coming.
Yeah, that was a wild one.
17.
I mean, Bears Texans.
Vikings come back to beat the Lions. That's that look, Lions were up 14-0, I think, at one point,
Yeah,
and then Vikings tie it up, and then they go back up by 10, and Vikings come right back. So got to give them credit. Good bounce back game for them.
yep,
And then let me just get through the rest of the scores. Bengals beat the Jets quite handily, 27-12. Me to Scott. And the Panthers beat the Saints. Saints just don't look very good at all
yeah,
so far this year,
yes.
22-14.
It's a rough situation down there in New Orleans. Losing Sean Payton and kind of losing Drew Brees and Sean Payton within 3 years of each other. It's gonna crumble slowly, but they got some good talent. I mean, Olave looks great down there. But yeah, I mean, I can't believe they didn't flex that Bears Titans game to Sunday night. I mean, just what a blockbuster of a game, or Bears Texans, excuse me, blockbuster of a game there. Glad we covered it. But yeah, that's sort of around the NFL for today. Big
It's the
takeaway.
early scoreboard. I don't know, like maybe it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. There's a lot of games in progress,
Yeah.
but how's the fantasy team doing there, son?
So
Or the teams, I should say, since you're
yeah,
in three
I'm
leagues.
in I'm in
Quick
a
recap.
few leagues. So looking okay in one league. I don't want to jinx it yet, but looking pretty good. I've had a pretty lucky stretch in my hardest league. I'm playing a 14 team league where the teams that I've played against have kind of been bad. So I might be 3-0, even though I'm not sure I really deserve it. Um, but my team's got a good defense. And otherwise, the family league, I've just been miserable. I mean, I invested my first round pick into Justin Jefferson, and he, aside from his first week, has been pretty god awful in the last 2 weeks. So I don't know if teams are just taking him out of the game, or Kirk Cousins is just kind of being Kirk Cousins, or a combination of all of them. But yeah, not great there. And then my third league, also not great. I went against Devonta Smith today. So I went against a lot of Commanders fans that had Eagles on their fantasy roster. So I need to have some talks. I know one of them is probably our most loyal listener. So I don't want to give him too much. We can't lose a subscriber here. I don't want to give him too much flack. We can't afford it. We got tight margins over here. But yeah. So I mean, that's that. So not great this
Do you
weekend.
want me to describe my fantasy day?
You're going crazy. Your team looks good. There it is, Pop. There it is.
Absolute fire.
There it is.
Absolute fire. It's a dominant team. No one's even close to my point total in Fam Bam. Try not to get carried away, but it's hard.
You're already
It's hard.
try not to. You're carried away. You're already
Lamar
carried away.
Jackson, Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, Tyreek had kind of an off game. Curtis Samuel, solid.
So
Hawkinson, solid. You don't like Edwards Hilaire, he just keeps putting up
keeps
points.
falling into the end zone. So
Made a mistake. I even made a roster mistake, leaving Amari Cooper on the bench. It was like I just slept on that. I wanted to put him in, just kind of forgot. I mean, dominant team.
hey, you know
Dominant
what? We
team.
need some wins around here. I just a quick to the fantasy community. How much longer is it going to take us to realize that Nick Chubb is the best running back in football every year? Every year. If he's just healthy, he's going to be the best running back in football. I don't understand how he's falling in drafts, second, third, fourth round. You
He's
picked
top three. I don't know if I'd
he's
go
the best
best.
running back in
Top
football.
five.
Maybe not in fantasy.
Better than Derrick Henry.
Maybe not in fantasy.
Jonathan Taylor was last year.
He's the best running back
Come on.
consistently. I'm saying over the last few years, consistently, he has the highest floor of any running back in football by a country mile. I think he's the best. Maybe
There's a
not.
difference between saying he has the highest floor and saying he's the best.
Well, he has the highest floor and he reaches the same ceiling as all the other guys. He had 3 touchdowns last week. He is a dynamic player. I really love Nick Chubb. And yeah, you picked him basically literally the pick before me. And my whole strategy was set around getting Chubb in the 3rd round. And you screwed me out of him. So I'm hurting because of that.
Me dispiace, son.
Yeah. You know what? I hope you're proud of
Can I
yourself.
say?
I hope you're proud of yourself.
I'm very proud.
Hurt your son, man. Your own guy. Your own guy.
I'm very proud.
No, if it's not going to be me, I hope it's you. But man, yeah, rough week overall. And
It's looking good right now. Just got to stay healthy.
the kicker was on an undisclosed platform because they sponsor everybody and they don't sponsor us yet. So I'm not going to say what the platform was, but on an undisclosed player prop betting platform, I had every piece of my parlay hit except for the Carson Wentz under rush yards. He went for 22. It was set at 12 and a half. He got it on one scramble in garbage time. That third and goal scramble where he didn't even extend to get the touchdown. If he did the Taylor Heineke, he could have got in, but he just crumbled and he made it was worth nothing and it burnt my parlay. So that's how those go. And yeah, I mean that's a wrap. Pretty rough week to be Dominic today for sports. Not a good day to be Dominic, but
we'll so are you going to go 0-3 or what's going to happen? We're winning a couple of those games.
I think I'm probably going to go 1-2. Maybe I go 2-1, but most likely 1-2 is what it's looking like. And I did have Chris Olave, Isaiah McKenzie, and Ramondre Stevenson all on the same team, all on my bench. So got some really good breakouts there that I'm excited for the rest of the season. But yeah, I think 1-2 is probably looking like it today.
Well, you got your Dolphins pick.
Yeah.
So, first official bada bets win. I think pretty much we should never pick the same teams in a game because whenever we do that, it's an automatic loss.
Yeah.
So that's a good strategy going into next week. The Packers are crushing the Bucks right now, getting ready to score again. So
yeah,
that's not looking good. So yeah, we'll catch up on our bada bets results in the next pod because by the time this is out, a lot of these games will be in the books anyway. So
yeah, you're gonna
talking about the ones in progress.
You're gonna need San Fran to win tonight in order to push.
I hope so.
That's basically your best shot. Hey, all I got to say is Broncos country, let's ride. That's all I got.
Gosh.
That's all I got to say, baby.
Son.
All I got. Danger Russ. It's my boy. All right. Well, with all that being said, I think that's pretty much it for today. I don't know what else to talk about. I'm pretty deflated at this point.
I say we wrap it up.
Yeah, I say we wrap this thing up. So without further ado, I've been Dom.
This is Pop.
And thanks for another great week, guys. By guys, I mean you guys listening, not the Commanders. Do better.